You'll see why devotees can sing for hours, why tears flow, why longing burns. Because it's not escape, it's arrival.
It's therapy for the soul, and like any deep therapy, it doesn't just numb the pain, it reshapes your entire trajectory.
Singing is not performance, but medicine for the soul. And submission, yes, even tears of longing, are not weakness, but the strongest expression of love a soul can give. Have you ever wondered why, despite all your effort, life still feels like an endless cycle of struggle, like you're walking the same path over and over? What if the way out has been hidden in plain sight for thousands of years? Before we begin, I want you to pause. Take a breath. Let this not just be another video playing in the background. Sit back, put your phone aside for a moment, and allow yourself to lean in. Because this isn't just content. This is a conversation that could change the way you see your life. In this episode, Arjun and Maya uncover the forgotten wisdom of ancient texts, the rituals, the journeys, the songs, and the hidden meanings behind them. These aren't abstract philosophies. They are practical keys to breaking free from the invisible prison of repetition and finding a path that feels lighter, freer, and truly yours. If you've ever felt stuck, restless, or quietly searching for more, this is the conversation you cannot afford to skip. By the end, you won't just have answers. You'll have a new lens to see everything differently. Let's begin.
You know, Arjun, I've been thinking lately about why people, especially from our backgrounds, still put so much energy into pilgrimages. I mean, in the UK, we take time off to travel to Spain or Greece for the sun, but some people still save up and fly halfway across the world just to walk through temples in places like Vrindavan or Dwarka. To me, it always looked like just tradition, something our parents or grandparents clung to. But recently, I've started to feel like I might be missing something. Do you actually believe there's more to it?
I do, Maya, and not just in the religious sense people usually imagine. Think about this. Most of us wake up, commute, spend hours in offices like this one, chase deadlines, then try to squeeze in rest, maybe some fun, and repeat. Isn't it a bit like being stuck on a treadmill? The Puranas describe life exactly like that, an endless desert of repetition. A pilgrimage, according to them, isn't just sightseeing. It's a way of stepping off that treadmill. By traveling the holy places like Vrindavan or Dwarka, you're not just moving physically, you're symbolically crossing over that desert of material existence.
So you're saying it's not about geography, but psychology?
Exactly, though it's both. Take Vrindavan, for example. On the surface, it's a crowded town in India filled with temples. But spiritually, it's described as a place where every corner echoes with the memory of Krishna's life. The texts say those who visit these places aren't just tourists. They're travelers who are glorified because they dare to search for something beyond paychecks and promotions. It's like giving your soul a destination, not just your body.
I like that idea, giving your soul a destination. But tell me honestly, Arjun, does it really matter if someone doesn't go? I mean, lots of us here never set foot in those temples. Are we doomed to this desert existence you mentioned?
Not doomed, but limited. Think of it like this. Imagine you're stuck in a loop where your only joys are short-term, like weekend, shopping, Netflix. They're fine, but they fade quickly. The Purana suggests that visiting a temple or pilgrimage site gives you a break in the loop. It's like reprogramming your mind to see there's more to life than consumption. The Hari Bhakti Siddhotaya even says that those who go with pure devotion to see Vishnu's deity actually escape re-entering the prison of the womb.
The prison of the womb? That sounds dark.
It does. But think about it. Birth itself is painted as suffering. We don't remember it, but physiologically it's one of the most painful processes a human goes through. And it repeats again and again through cycles of rebirth. Visiting the temple with devotion, they say, is like pressing the exit button from that cycle.
That's heavy. I never thought about birth as something to escape, more like the beginning of life. But if you frame it as a prison, then yeah, it makes sense why one would want out. And you're saying a simple act like visiting a temple could really have that much impact?
Yes, but the catch is devotional consciousness. It's not about going as a tourist, clicking selfies, or just being physically present. It's about approaching with the mindset of surrender, reflection, and connection. The temple acts like a mirror. It reflects what's inside you, amplifies it, and directs it upwards.
Okay, so let's say I'm willing to buy that. But what about this idea of walking around the temple, the circumambulation? I've seen people do it. They circle the deity over and over. Honestly, from the outside, it looks a bit ritualistic.
I know what you mean. It can look repetitive, but here's the meaning behind it. The texts say the soul itself is stuck circumambulating through birth and death, again and again. Every time you're born, you're circling back into the same arena of struggles: school, work, relationships, aging, death. By consciously circumambulating Vishnu's deity, you're symbolically counteracting that cycle. It's like saying, I don't want to keep circling blindly through suffering. I want to circle with awareness around the divine instead.
That's quite poetic when you put it like that. So in a way, walking around the deity becomes a rehearsal for breaking the cycle.
Exactly. And there's a fascinating detail in the Skanda Purana about Chaturmasya, the 4 months of the monsoon season in India. Saints would stop traveling during that time and settle in one holy place. The text says if you circumambulate the temple of Vishnu at least 4 times during this period, it's as if you've traveled the whole universe. Imagine that. A simple act of devotion equating to a cosmic journey.
Wait, so by just circling the temple 4 times, it's as though you've traveled everywhere? That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's symbolic again. Physical travel can take you across continents, but spiritual travel takes you across realities. When you commit to such acts during Chaturmasya, it's as if you've seen all sacred rivers, all shrines, all holy lands. It condenses the vastness of pilgrimage into one act of devotion. And here's the part most people overlook. It's not the body doing the miles, it's the consciousness that stretches.
Consciousness stretching. That's an interesting way to put it. So instead of flying to dozens of places, you focus your intent in one act, and the effect multiplies.
Yes. Think of it like meditation. You don't need to climb a mountain to quiet your mind. You need focus. In the same way, circumambulation is focus in action. It's your body, your breath, and your intention aligned, moving together in a circle of surrender.
That makes sense. And I suppose for people like us working in cities where long pilgrimages aren't practical, it's comforting to know that small acts, like a few circles around a deity, could carry that much depth.
Precisely. That's the hidden truth. These practices were designed for everyone, for kings and commoners, for monks and workers. They're scalable. Even if you can't spend months in Vrindavan, a moment of sincere circumambulation in any Vishnu temple plants the same seed of liberation.
You know, hearing it like this changes everything. I always saw these rituals as old customs my mom would nag me about, but now I'm starting to see the psychological and symbolic weight. It's almost like therapy, but with layers stretching far beyond just this lifetime.
That's exactly it.
Now, here's where you step in. If this conversation opened something inside you, hit that like button right now so the algorithm knows seekers like you exist.
So, Arjun, if circumambulation is like counteracting the endless cycles of life, then what about the actual worship that happens inside temples? I mean, I've seen arati ceremonies, flowers being offered, bells ringing. It's beautiful, but it almost feels like theater. Is there more to it than just ritual?
That's a really good question. The texts call it archana, the worship of the deity. And here's the deeper meaning. When you bow, offer flowers, or light a lamp, you're actually reminding yourself, I'm not this body, I'm the soul. It's not theater for the deity, it's therapy for you.
Interesting. But how does offering incense or lamps make you realize you're not the body?
Let's break it down. Say you bring flowers to the deity. Flowers fade, right? Just like the body. When you offer them, it's symbolic. This body is temporary, but the devotion I place behind it can connect to something eternal. Or think of food offered to the deity. It's an act of recognizing that everything we consume, every meal we take for granted, is actually a gift of creation. It shifts your mindset from ownership to gratitude.
So the act isn't for God's benefit, but ours.
Exactly. God doesn't need a lamp lit or food offered, but we need to realign our consciousness. That's why Siddhama's story in the Srimad Bhagavatam is so powerful. Do you know it?
Only vaguely. I think he was Krishna's friend, right? Something about food being offered?
Yes. Here's the context. Krishna, being who he is, could command the entire universe. But when he and Balarama were hungry, he asked Sudama to go request food from some brahmanas performing a sacrifice. Now, the brahmanas, caught up in ritual and pride, refused to give anything. But their wives, when they heard it was Krishna asking, dropped everything, cooked, and rushed to offer him food. The takeaway? Rituals mean nothing without devotion. But a single act of love, like those women's spontaneous offering, outweighs volumes of rituals.
Ah, so devotion is the currency, not the ritual itself.
Exactly. And here's what Siddhama reflected. Simply by worshiping Krishna, one can achieve more than all the heavenly opulence, mystic powers, or worldly wealth combined. Worship redirects you from chasing after temporary things and reminds you of the eternal.
That hits different, especially in a corporate world like ours. We're always chasing the next salary bracket, the next promotion, the next house upgrade. But if Sudama realized all of that could be bypassed with simple devotion, then it feels like we're running the wrong race entirely.
You've nailed it. The texts even say that through archana, temple worship, you can attain not just heaven, not just liberation, but direct connection to the Lord's eternal abode. The Vishnu Rahasya is blunt. Anyone sincerely worshiping Vishnu can very easily reach Vaikuntha, the spiritual world.
That sounds so absolute. Just worship and you're guaranteed transcendence?
Yes, but remember, it's not mechanical worship. It's not ticking a checklist. It's the heart behind it. Think of it like relationships. You don't measure love by how many times someone says, I love you, but by the sincerity behind it. Same with worship.
Fair point. But then what about this idea of treating God like a king? I've noticed in Indian temples the deity is adorned with jewelry, silks, even fanned as though he's royalty. Isn't that a bit excessive?
It can look excessive, but there's a deep psychology behind it. The idea is God isn't less than a king. He's the king of kings. In ancient India, kings were served with utmost dignity. By creating temples that resemble royal palaces, devotees are reminded to treat the divine with the same reverence. It's not about luxury, it's about honor.
But why does God need a palace or jewelry? Shouldn't divinity be beyond material show?
True, he doesn't need it, but we need to give it. The process of decorating, offering, arranging, and serving is actually for the transformation of our hearts. When you serve a king, you're giving your best. By serving God like that, you train your heart to give your best, not out of fear, but out of love.
I see. So it's like a shift from seeing worship as a burden to seeing it as service.
Exactly. In fact, the Vishnu Rahasya says that anyone who serves the Lord as attendants serve the king will be elevated to Krishna's abode after death. And the Naradiya Purana even adds that if someone stays in the temple, even briefly, they can achieve liberation. Imagine that. Just by being present in that atmosphere, you're lifted.
That's a huge claim. Just by staying there?
Yes, because temples are engineered as spiritual hubs. Think about it. Our offices are designed for productivity. Bright lights, screens, ergonomics. Temples are designed for transcendence. The sounds of bells, the fragrance of incense, the symmetry of architecture. Everything conspires to pull you out of the mundane and point you upwards.
That makes sense. Environment does shape behavior. Like when I walk into the office, my brain switches into work mode. When I walk into a temple, my heart naturally softens, slows down, and becomes more reflective.
Precisely. And that's why scriptures encourage the wealthy to build temples, not for prestige, but to create spaces where anyone, even a common passerby, can stumble in and get a chance at transcendence.
That's actually beautiful. It reframes temples from being monuments of tradition to gateways for liberation.
Well said, Maya. That's the conclusion the texts reach. Whether you're rich or poor, devotee or casual visitor, the temple is like a spiritual ambassador. Just stepping in, you're given the chance to dance, chant, or simply hear the names of the divine. And every one of those acts chips away at lifetimes of conditioning.
You know, this conversation makes me feel like I've underestimated these traditions massively. I always thought they were for older generations, but the way you explain it, it's almost like a spiritual technology, precisely designed for human psychology.
That's exactly what it is, spiritual technology. And the beauty? It's timeless. Whether in ancient Dwarka or modern-day London, the effect is the same if the heart is engaged.
So if I get this right, Archana isn't about God needing our offerings, but us needing to offer. Temples aren't about showing off wealth, but about creating palaces where anyone can feel divine presence. And service isn't a burden, it's the training ground for our love.
Perfectly summarized, Maya. That's the essence.
Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell icon because we're just getting started.
You know, Arjun, so far everything you've said about temples, rituals, and worship has given me a new perspective. But what about singing? I've noticed in gatherings, people burst into devotional songs, bhajans, kirtans. Sometimes it feels uplifting, sometimes a bit repetitive. Is there actually depth behind it, or is it just cultural expression?
I'm glad you brought that up. Singing isn't just cultural, it's central. The Linga Purana actually says that a Brahmana who constantly sings the glories of the Lord is elevated to the same planet as God himself. That's a strong statement. And here's the key. Music bypasses intellect and goes straight to emotion. You don't analyze a song, you feel it.
True. Music has that effect. Even in the gym, I put on certain tracks and suddenly I can push through another set. But why does God care about singing?
It's not about God needing the song, it's about us needing the transformation that happens when we sing. Think about it. When you sing about money, relationships, or heartbreak, your mood shifts in that direction. When you sing about Krishna's qualities, pastimes, or names, your consciousness is lifted in that direction. And interestingly, texts even say Krishna values singing more than formal prayers, even those of Lord Shiva.
That's fascinating. So in a way, singing is like tuning your inner frequency?
Exactly. And then there's Sankirtana, the congregational chanting. That's on another level. Imagine an entire room full of people chanting together, loudly, rhythmically. It's not just sound, it's energy multiplied. The Vishnu Dharma says that just chanting the word Krishna frees you from the results of sins accumulated over many births. One utterance can outweigh lifetimes of actions.
Wait, just one chant? That sounds too easy.
I thought so too, but here's the logic. Sin is basically misalignment from truth. Chanting aligns you instantly. It's like switching on a light in a dark room. It doesn't matter how long the room has been dark, the light dispels it immediately. Similarly, chanting Krishna invokes the presence of truth, which dissolves misalignment.
That's a powerful analogy. But then, is there a difference between chanting alone and chanting in groups?
Definitely. Chanting alone, called japa, is intimate. It's like whispering your heart to God. You repeat the mantra softly, for your own ears. It's personal healing. Chanting in a group, kirtana or sankirtana, is collective healing. Everyone's energy fuels everyone else's. Think of it like exercise. You can train solo, but in a class or team, you push further because of shared energy.
I get that. I felt it in yoga classes. Alone, my mind wanders, but in a group, the collective focus keeps me grounded. So japa is personal alignment, and kirtan is communal elevation.
Exactly. And both are powerful. The Padma Purana even says that whether you chant softly or loudly, the paths to liberation open immediately. It's democratic. You don't need to be a scholar, a priest, or even religious. Just chant, and the benefit flows.
That's inclusive. But I wonder, why do tears, emotions, and even crying get so emphasized in these traditions? I've heard of devotees crying while chanting. Isn't that a bit dramatic?
It can look dramatic, but it's actually profound. The texts call it submission. There are 3 types: samprathanatmika, praying deeply with feeling; danyabodhika, humble self-submission; and lalasame, yearning for a perfected state. When emotions surface, it means the heart has softened enough to let go of pride. Tears aren't weakness, they're surrender.
That's beautiful. But how do these types of submission actually play out in practice?
Let me explain. In samprathanatmika, you pray sincerely, like a child asking a parent for guidance. In danyabodhika, you admit your flaws openly, humbly. I am weak, I need help. And in lalasame, you yearn for your original relationship with God, whatever it may be. Friendship, service, even love. That longing is the highest form of submission.
So it's less about words, more about posture of the heart?
Exactly. There's a striking example in the Padma Purana. A devotee prays, "My Lord, let me be drawn to you as naturally as a girl is drawn to a boy, without training or effort." That's raw, unfiltered attraction. Not intellectual, not forced. That's the perfectional stage of devotion, spontaneous love.
That's relatable. We don't train ourselves to feel attraction. It just happens. And you're saying devotion, at its peak, should feel that effortless and natural.
Yes, that's called Swarupa Siddhi, realizing your original spiritual identity. And the price of entry? Not wealth, not status, but one thing: Laulya, intense eagerness. The texts say tears of longing are the real ticket to God's kingdom.
That's powerful. So basically, without that deep yearning, all the rituals and songs are empty shells.
Exactly. It's like wanting to meet a dear friend. You won't be satisfied until you see them. That burning desire fuels everything. Without it, devotion is mechanical. With it, even one chant, one tear, one song can transform you.
I have to admit, Arjun, I've never looked at chanting or singing with this depth. For me, it was always cultural noise in family gatherings, but now I see, if approached sincerely, it's less about sound and more about aligning the heart.
That's the essence. Chanting isn't noise, it's the soul calling home. Singing isn't performance, it's offering your voice as service. Submission isn't weakness, it's strength in its purest form, because you're dropping the ego.
You know, this makes me think. We spend thousands on therapy, meditation apps, self-help books, yet here's a practice available freely, universally, that goes straight to the root of our restlessness.
Exactly, and that's why saints emphasize it so much. Singing, chanting, and submitting aren't archaic. They're timeless solutions to timeless problems. Anxiety, loneliness, meaninglessness. These are modern words for age-old struggles, and these practices directly address them.
I feel like this conversation itself is reshaping my view. It's no longer about religion versus secular life. It's about tools, ancient tools, for human survival and flourishing.
Well said, Maya. And once you taste even a glimpse of that, you'll see why devotees can sing for hours, why tears flow, why longing burns. Because it's not escape, it's arrival.
So, what did we just uncover? We started with the simple question, why do temples matter? Why do devotees sing? Why does chanting hold such power? And through Arjun and Maya's journey, we discovered something profound. Temples are not relics of tradition, but gateways of liberation. Worship is not ritual, but realignment. Singing is not performance, but medicine for the soul. And submission, yes, even tears of longing, are not weakness, but the strongest expression of love a soul can give. The promise was clear. If you stay until the end, you'll walk away seeing temples, chanting, and devotion in a completely new light. And if you're here right now, I think you feel it. And here's the real challenge. Drop a comment below, sharing the one insight that struck you the most. Was it Sudama's story, the idea of spiritual technology, or the power of a single chant to dissolve lifetimes of darkness? Write it down. That one action will etch the lesson deeper into your heart. Finally, share this video with a friend or loved one. Think about it. Someone out there is struggling, restless, maybe even hopeless. This could be the spark they need. Don't keep it to yourself. Remember, devotion isn't about escaping life. It's about arriving fully in it. And together, we're building a community where wisdom isn't just studied, it's lived. So, I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep walking, keep chanting, keep longing, because every step, every sound, every tear brings you closer to home.
Explore more reflections on love, surrender, and the divine. Watch the next video or subscribe for deeper journeys.
Love is not the end, it's the way.